Go.
Welcome, essential oil lovers. We are excited to be here finally. So today's live is going to be on the flu, influenza, how do you say that word, Mom?
Gastroenteritis.
There we go.
I think we should tell them the ironic story about why it got canceled.
Yeah, this live was supposed to be done 3 weeks ago, right before Christmas. Anyway, the night before we were supposed to do this live on flu, guess what? I got the gastroenteritis, however you say that word. And I was so sick that this live just didn't happen. So we put it off till today. We're really excited. It's a lot of material to cover. So we'll just kind of see how it goes and see how many people want to join us and talk about the flu.
And see what questions you post
right.
to kind of guide us in the directions that we're going to go.
So. If you ask questions, that will definitely help it to go longer. If you share this with your friends and we get a few more people to join us, that definitely helps increase the discussion. So a little bit about us. My name's Valerie, and this is my mom, Laurie, and we work for a company called Butterfly Expressions, and we teach alternative methods, including essential oils, blessed waters, homeopathics, tinctures,
herbals,
herbs.
cranial, sacral, foot zone.
Yep, a little bit of everything.
A lot of energy modalities.
So we're taking on 2 topics a month. Today's going to be a topic on influenza, and then next Wednesday, we're going to be talking about an emotion. We'll be talking about enthusiasm, which if you're one of those many people who's just started a diet, that would be a wonderful thing to cover. And I'm one of those. Yay, I'm going to take off this baby weight.
I need some more enthusiasm for getting up to exercise.
That's been a fun one to research out. And then finally, at the end of this month, we're going to start taking on headaches, which is a major topic. We've written 10 different blogs on different types of headaches.
There's actually 12 or 13, but I'm trying to condense and come up.
So that's a major topic, but we will discuss it for about an hour, and then we will have those blogs available as quickly as possible so that you can start working on your different types of headaches.
I've been working on those blogs for just under 6 months.
We're excited about that one.
A little over the top.
But influenza, there is going to be a blog. It'll be available on Facebook in probably about an hour. And it will cover a lot of the same stuff we're talking about today. And then there's a lot more. It's about 15,000 words. We wrote a book on influenza, basically.
They tell me I'm very wordy, which is when I write, yes.
If you just joined us, please share this with your friends. And if you have questions, we like questions. It helps guide the discussion, and it's not quite so dry, just us spouting it off at you as quickly as we can. So a lot of information to start covering today. And I think we'll start with what the difference between influenza, the flu, gastroenteritis is.
There are a few points I really want to make. And in order to be confident that you're understanding me, I kind of want to begin with a couple of definitions. Okay. What are we talking about when we talk about flu? A few years ago, somebody called me and wanted me to make some homeopathic remedies for him to match the particular kind of flu that was going around that year. That caused me to do a great deal of research into what we mean when we say influenza. So let's start right there. Influenza is a viral infection that attacks your respiratory system.
Your nose.
Actual legal speak.
Nose,
throat, lungs. Okay. Yep. That is what's referred to as influenza or flu medically and technically correctly. That is the kind of influenza that goes pandemic. That's the kind of influenza that can kill people, right? This stomach flu, that kind of influenza, just to be clear, often causes stomach symptoms in children or in the more weak people as the mucus builds up, as it drains into the stomach, they vomit, they get diarrhea. But that's totally different than the bacterial or even viral driven stomach flus like poor Valerie's family went down with by midnight last night. We had them all but one in the family. It was,
not last night.
Last
time we were supposed to do this live, when we were supposed to do that, that's why it got canceled.
I was down there.
I had it.
Me and her son Matthew, the only live bodies. By the way, I did not get the flu.
Well, I was really slow picking it up because I had given blood earlier that day, and so when I started feeling a little off, I just figured it was, lack of a kind of blood in my body, and it took me a little while to figure out what I had. In fact, it took me so long that by the time I realized that I was close to passing out, and I had to call my poor mother and say, I can't even drive myself home.
She was at the church. Oh, it was a fun party. Anyway.
So, yeah, she got to play in all the sick for hours, and by the time that we realized that mine wasn't a lack of electrolytes or giving blood, I was genuinely sick, other members of my family were coming down with it. And so she stuck around for almost 2 days and played in the flu, but she gargled Deliverance and she
washed my hands
everything with
Deliverance and other essential oils, and I didn't get it.
And she didn't get it. So there we go. If anyone in your house has the flu, or you think they might be coming down with the flu, or just because it's wintertime and someone has the flu, diffuse Deliverance all over your house. Add a little bit to your dishwater. Just don't do the flu. That's my been there, done that.
Not the way they did it. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, it was 5 days before Christmas.
So anyway, back to definitions. Gastroenteritis is the term used in the medical world for the stomach flu itself. And that's nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, 12 to 48 hours. Bacterial infections such as food poisoning. You can even get these symptoms from parasites. They lump all those things into gastroenteritis. So when we start talking about flu and start giving you solutions, it's kind of necessary that we be able to say, well, this is for that nasty pandemic kind of flu, and this is for the kind that's bacterial driven, and this is for the kind that's a parasite, So
Stephanie Keller just commented that she uses nat sulfa arsenicum album, and we are actually going to talk about both of those today. So that's really cool. That's a good comment.
Last point for this introduction: dehydration.
Yes,
the dehydration from the flu, it will be one of the most serious complications to look out for, especially with children.
And if you're throwing up, it can be really difficult to keep from becoming dehydrated. And we will cover a little bit more on that too. So, all right, flu symptoms.
Flu symptoms, the influenza, the kind that might get scary quickly. And I don't want this to be a scaremongering thing, but I am going to throw you out a few facts and statistics.
Oh, yay, fun.
I want you to understand that when you work with flu, you're not going to know in the beginning what you have. So you respond with everything you have, and you respond quickly. Valerie's entire family was back on their feet within
24 hours.
Most of them were up and around, helping each other quickly. And
I mean, we were a little slow. We weren't full speed, but we were up and around. So that was good.
I mean, I got there. What time did I get there? About 7:30?
Yeah.
By midnight, most of them were through the worst of it.
We had one who didn't start throwing up until 1. So.
And poor Matthew hung around waiting to see if he gets
it. My son never did get it either. So that lucky guy.
So anyway, comes on suddenly and generally with fever or fever and chills. So a lot of other things, of course, the body aches and pains. Sometimes diarrhea will accompany it. Sometimes
fever.
Not. Dry cough, sore throat. There's two kinds of flu. There's the intestinal one and there's the lung one. The lung one is the scary one.
The lung one is the scary one.
Absolutely. So how do you know if you're in trouble with adults? Trouble breathing, shortness of breath, any pain or pressure in the chest, confusion, vomiting, all kinds of things like that.
Real quick, anybody who's trying to take notes, you don't need to.
You don't need to. It's all covered in the blog.
In the blog, it is broke down by flu symptoms and what's scary for an adult, what's scary for a child. So if you're trying to hurry and scribble this all down, this will also be available to watch later if you want to refresh your course. Sometimes after her and I teach a class, I don't know why, I learn better by hearing. And so we'll read a bunch of stuff. We write it down and we talk about it. I'll just put it on in my kitchen and listen to it a couple of times because it just solidifies so much better in my brain.
I learn better by reading. So I put everything I know in front.
So
anyway, one last thing to watch out for. The second go round with the same flu will always be worse. It won't be the same flu. It will be a mutated. The strong strains lived and come back for a second go. So once again, respond with everything you have, respond quickly, and the follow-up, what they call the convalescent stage, is just as important. You don't want to go round 2.
Do wash every surface with Deliverance. Don't do this again. Hunter, Harvey, Sherry, my family is really on me about getting my son a flu shot, but I haven't. Well, we're going to talk about those too.
Not if I can help it.
But it's covered in the blog how we feel about that.
Yes, getting into a vaccine argument
online is probably not a good idea.
My cup of tea. Come to class though, and they have to gag me because I get really kind of rabid about that.
That's
topic.
true.
So, all righty.
Yes.
So, with children, of course, Valerie said it. So have I. Watch for that dehydration. Fewer than normal wet diapers. Trouble
Especially
breathing.
Babies.
Please watch for that dehydration.
That was my other fear. I have a 6-month-old, and I was very, very afraid that she would get this. And she's the third member of our family who didn't. So I got it. My husband got it. My 3 daughters got it, but my baby and my son did not. So that was really. My baby had a little bit of diarrhea, so she probably did a little bit of the stomach version of it.
But we were on it with everything you can imagine.
She didn't get horribly sick, which made me happy, especially with RSV and type things going around right now. Oh, just makes me so nervous. So
Okay, now,
viral flu.
Here we go, the scaremongering part.
Just for a minute or two.
Just for a minute. So hang in there. I would tell you this story of this little person who started feeling sick on a Sunday afternoon. By Monday, she was diagnosed with flu. By Tuesday afternoon, she was dead.
And this was documented in a medical journal in Arizona.
In an excellent medical journal.
And it was the very beginning.
Was
this the beginning of the pandemic flu in?
No, this was much more recent.
This was more recent than that.
So,
all right, pandemic flu in 1918
killed an awfully lot of people,
and it was quick.
And for just a minute, I want to tell you why. Okay, why they were so. Scenario number 1, a flu virus enters the body through the eyes, nose, or throat. Okay, what some particular flu viruses do is they actually penetrate the cell wall. They hijack the cell, and when the virus replicates, it replicates the entire cell. So when the body's immune system kicks in to fight it, it doesn't destroy just the virus, it destroys the cell. If you've been too slow to respond, and it has got a good grip in your lungs or the mucous membranes of your throat and nose, as the immune system destroys those damaged cells, you lose more cell structure than your lungs can handle. Okay,
that's why it becomes scary so quickly.
One scientific journal described it as the body killing itself. And so this is why I keep stressing over and over and over, hit it quick. You want a limited amount of tissue damage in your lungs as the body responds. If you think you're sick,
hit it hard, because by the time you know you're sick, it's a lot harder to beat. It's more scary with children than adults, because adults have a larger system. We have a lot more cells.
Yes.
And most adults can handle the flu and slough it off way better than children. So if your children gets the slightest bit of runny nose or cough, you just hit it hard and hit it fast.
Just use essential oils all the time. Just constantly during this time of year, be giving your children infection fighters. When they get something, respond immediately with homeopathy. Just get it done. Okay, the second scenario is that as the body is weakened by the flu, it gets a secondary bacterial infection. And you wind up with strep or staph or some type of life-threatening pneumonia.
Yep.
And the body no longer has the resources to fight back. And so that will result in the third scenario, which is septic shock, a body-wide organ damage, inflammatory response. And so, like I said, the key to this is to responding quickly. And that's what I told my kids. My kids stepped on a nail when they were younger out in our scrapyard. I'll tell you what, the lockjaw would have been minor compared to my response if they hadn't told me about it, so it could be dealt with before it became serious.
The other thing about alternative methods is that, you're talking about rubbing essential oils on the lungs because they might have a cough. You're not going to hurt anything if they don't ever have the cough. If they weren't sick, if they just had a little dust in their throat or whatever, if they're not sick and you give them the remedies for the flu, it's not going to hurt them, with the exception of homeopathics. And if you're going to give a homeopathic, the symptom had better be present.
Well, and even that, the more recent stuff, the last 2 or 3 years, indicates that if we used to believe you could give them the symptoms of whatever was the symptom picture, but the latest research out would indicate that you're only going to respond to that homeopathic if at some point in your life you displayed that symptom picture or that thing. So you're still unraveling a piece of your past that's weakening your system. So I don't think you can lose. If you do 10 homeopathics in one capacity at once, you're going to feel
your lower doses. The girl that commented earlier, she said that she uses arsenicum and nat sulfin at 30x, and she probably meant 30C. 30C. Either one would be fine, X or C. If she happens to be buying them from Butterfly, then they're definitely 30C, but they could be 30X.
If you dosed everybody with a 30C, just because you thought they got sick, you would do them no harm.
Matthew, actually, my son who did not get the flu, was taking the arsenicum.
And so was I down at Valerie's.
Yeah, he didn't. He was watching the rest of us and going, "I don't want this."
For the next week, every time I think my stomach's a little upset, I would go more arsenicum and another gargle with Deliverance.
Hunter Harvey Sherry says, "I need to get the correct oils for this. What do I get?"
We'll be covering that.
We're going to talk about it. And what you would do for lungs is going to be different than what you would do for stomach. We're going to cover both. And you don't need to get everything that we're going to talk about. You're going to want to have one good one for the lungs and one good one for the stomach. And you probably already do. You probably already have something that would work. We'll talk about some blends and some singles. And if you have singles even from a different company, that'd be great.
And some other things besides essential oils.
Yep.
So
there is, I was going to mention, and I almost forgot, the flu kit that Butterfly Express puts out right now is on sale this month. I think it's 10% off. And then if the flu kit, you already have pieces of it, you don't want to just, you want to duplicate your stock or whatever, there's a coupon just for this live. If you're watching it and you hear me say it, then you can use it for today and tomorrow, and it'll give you 10% off of anything else that's not already on sale or it's not a major bulk item. So that coupon is FLU, F-L-U, really hard. So for the next 2 days, if there's stuff you want to stock up on after this, go for it. All right. Well, hopefully you already have a lot of it, because we're not trying to break the bank here today. We're just trying to educate you and help you. So number one thing you need is a strong immune system, so that when the virus attacks, your body kicks in and starts to fight it really quickly. But
if you don't respond quickly, then that strong immune system later will bite you, because it will be attacking tissues.
That's true.
Doing a good job of it.
Yes.
If you don't respond quickly, you're in trouble either way.
You've got to respond quickly. So
some things before we get into actual remedies. Number one, of course, is avoid exposure. Okay.
Yeah, that would, yeah.
And if you are out and about, which we all are, as we attend places and go to classes and teach classes and go shopping.
Go to the grocery store.
I as I go through the grocery store and I see people wiping down their handlebars with their little, that maybe isn't that bad of an idea. I don't do it. I just come home and run my hand, put Deliverance in my dishwater.
That's right.
But nothing comes from harm using immune builder, strengthening herbals, our nutrition, keeping yourself.
They're not going to hurt you.
You're going to be so avoid exposure, and then understand that you're probably exposed all winter long, and act accordingly.
Diffusing Deliverance will not only kills it and keeps it from spreading throughout your home, but it will help build your immune system. The immune builder she's talking about is a tincture called IV, and it's available in a glycerin, so you can give it to your children.
Yeah, I usually start on that about July, figuring that if I build my immune, and I hate to, I don't have to admit it now. Actually being sick, I haven't been for a long time, although for some dumb reason, I just did a round of shingles of all things. But it only laid me out for a couple of 3 days. So I bounced right back.
Yeah, and that was not, when it took us a little too long.
And when she went down with the flu, I wasn't all the way
No,
back.
she wasn't. So avoiding exposure. Okay. The next thing is a controlled fever is your friend. You don't want a spiky high fever, especially with children. And I have a habit, anytime that any of my children fever, they get liquid calcium. And the reason for that is because if your body runs out of calcium, your fever, it goes out of control. Calcium is the number one way to control a fever. And a fever is good because it will burn things off. It allows the body to fight back. It can be very helpful.
A liquid calcium absorbs way faster than calcium is an interesting one, because on births in my midwife days, first thing we would do when we showed up for labor was administer liquid calcium to the woman, because it changes the way the muscles contract. The body aches and those that come along with the flu are so much easier with a little calcium.
And liquid calcium absorbs better with magnesium. Calcium and magnesium kind of go hand in hand.
Potassium, yeah.
And so if you're going to give them calcium, it doesn't hurt to put a little magnesium in if you've got it. Boron is an interesting one too. It actually controls the regulation of both magnesium and the calcium. So if you're not absorbing them, you've been taking them, you're not seeing any benefits. One of the benefits of calcium and magnesium is that you sleep at night. So I've seen it help a lot of people that have insomnia. There we go.
that would be me when I don't pay attention.
And adding that little bit of boron changes the way they absorb the calcium and the magnesium.
So just do electrolytes in general.
Those
liquid electrolytes, but please do not do Gatorades and with those bright
all
colored
the sugar and the dye. Don't stress the kidneys out right now while we need it.
I was expressing to a friend that I was not paying attention, and I was getting a little electrolyte deficient and not drinking enough water, and so she brought me a great big bright blue Gatorade. She said it wasn't for me to drink, it was for me to sit on my cabinet to remind me to drink. It was very effective.
There we go.
It's still there on the end of my bottle.
Oh, that's awesome. So
I loved it. Yes.
Controlled fever, things you can control it with. There is a blessed water remedy called fever, and blessed waters are really cheap, so that's
Blessed waters are similar to homeopathics.
They're very similar to
yeah.
homeopathics. And that fever homeopathic is a wonderful thing if they're running a fever. Elderflower, catnip, peppermint, those are all great ones. I like them as glycerin tinctures. And the elderflower is done as a glycerin. The catnip is done, but it comes with chamomile, which is not a bad thing. I like the two together in a glycerin for any type of fever, especially with babies, children under 3 or 4. That's my favorite thing for that.
So let's talk about BBL. Okay.
Okay.
Given by mouth or applied topically. When my own children were little, I used to put 3 or 4 dropperfuls of BBL in a warm tub if they looked. I had one child that particularly threw convulsions anytime he got a fever.
Yeah.
And that in a tub with the BBL would stop a convulsion that was on its way.
You don't want the tub overly hot and you don't want it overly cold, especially if they're
My
already
mother called
fevering.
it tepid.
Tepid. Yeah, that's a good word.
But working with one of my other grandchildren this last few weeks, this BBL in the tub for a convulsion, it seems to trigger them with her. I've never seen that before. So
Which one was this?
Rena, little Serena.
Really?
Yeah.
Rena is little, so
And
that's
she
interesting.
is tiny and
she is.
but we found the ginger bath was the solution for her.
So ginger is an amazing herb. If you are sick and you are not running a fever, but you feel like a fever would be beneficial, that to me is when their body is aching, but you're not fevering. Like the body needs to release things, it needs to sweat.
A fever will burn the bacteria.
It'll help
It'll
with that
destroy
body
it
ache.
faster than anything you're going to give them.
So there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can get powdered or fresh ginger, so grocery store.
Just grate a little, yeah.
Yep, pretty easy. But the tincture is way nice because you don't have all the messy powder in your tub.
And it doesn't get into funny little delicate tissues and places.
And if you have jetted tubs, that powder can
cause a problem.
Yeah, you have to wash your tub out really good, and it can get to be kind of a pain in the butt. The essential oil is way too strong.
No, not even a drop of that. It's
No,
too strong for that.
not
Please
that
do
way.
not do that.
Tincture powder or
So
fresh.
what you do is you fill the tub with warm water, as warm as they'll let you, and you add a little of the ginger, you put them in it, and you make them sit there for at least 5 minutes.
So what if you're using powdered ginger? It's going to depend on the strength of it. If you have a really good quality ginger, you open the bag and you're like, whoa, I can smell that. A spoonful. If it's kind of maybe older and not quite so good, maybe use a couple
of tablespoons.
And if it's tincture ginger, a couple dropperfuls.
And then you get them, make sure that bathroom is warm. When they get out of the tub, you
Yes.
wrap them up in a warm quilt. You dry them quickly.
Do not let them get cold.
And you wrap them up warmly, and you make them sweat for at least 20 minutes.
I pile as many blankets on them as I can for 20 minutes, and then if they
All
want,
their
I'll take
little
a couple of
nose
them
is
off.
out, and they'll sit there and say, am I
Yep.
done baking yet, Mommy? That's what my kids
Right.
Most of the time they fall asleep before the 20 minutes is over. And when they wake up, the fever has
And the
killed
body
the
aches
bacteria.
are so much better.
And yes, they're tired and they're fatigued, but I mean, this was a go-to when my kids were little. They
Okay.
never got sick for very long because Mom stuffed them in a ginger tub.
I got slack on my comments here.
Okay, let's see what we got.
The
What
tinctures and
electrolytes do we
No, we'll
suggest?
start this one.
Okay, all
The
right.
tinctures and essential oils you're talking about, are they safe during pregnancy? We have not talked about anything yet that is not safe during pregnancy.
And if it isn't, we will specify
And
that for
I
you.
will
Okay.
keep that in mind. Okay, what electrolytes do you suggest? On the butterflyexpress.net website, there
Net
is
or .shop. You changed
either
it.
one.
You changed it
It
over. Okay.
redirects.
What do I know?
So-
I've been on it.
They have a product called Elite. And I like those electrolytes because there's no added sugar or even fake sugars, NutraSweets. It's just,
And they're balanced
electrolytes.
according to what
they are.
percentage the body needs. Yeah,
So
they're very
I
well
like
done.
that one. Really nasty though. So when you taste the electrolytes, because there's no
it's just
sugar.
salty.
My
Extremely
9-year-old,
salty flavored.
my 10-year-old, she's 10 now. She takes them in juice. I will squirt them in water and I just swallow.
I
I
do
don't
too.
care. But my
And I do
10-year-old,
it every day,
it has to go in juice.
especially
So-
if I'm exercising. If I'm going to
Yeah.
be sweating. I'm
Apple
gonna
cider is her favorite for that. So, whatever. Okay. Elizabeth Clark says no flu shots, and we agree with you. We'll leave it at that. Vitamins and minerals, honey and lemon water.
If you want-
Absolutely.
If you want to know how I feel about flu shots, the homeopathic book, the pink
It
one,
goes into that.
I,
Yep.
I get rather rabid there. Yes.
Okay.
Statistics and studies and
Honey and lemon water, that just brings up, I don't know if this is in the blog or not, I don't think we're going to cover it today, but there is a recipe on Butterfly Expressions, which is our website, the learning website, butterflyexpressions.org, and you go to information, and I think it's under the herbal section. It says recipes, and then there's a recipe for HVC, and that is like my number one sore throat remedy,
honey
because the
vinegar.
honey
Oh, yeah.
coats The honey coats the throat and keeps the cayenne there where it can do its job and burn off the virus. And then the vinegar helps to alkalize your body. I mean, it's an amazing remedy. Absolutely love it. We use cayenne tincture. You can use cayenne powder. The nice thing with the tinctures, you can do just a couple drops, and then the person can kind of add a little bit more, and they can get it to their hotness. Like, I won't handle near as much as my husband will, and with my kids, I go pretty light on it. So Butterfly used to have a product called Cayenne Mild, and it was a limited thing. It was something that they had grown, and I don't know if that tincture's still on their website, but I really liked it for kids. So I don't know if they do or not. I haven't kept track of that one. Okay, she also says rose hips, mint. So this woman should be here.
This woman should be here taking up one of our places.
Rose hips is high in vitamin C, which is huge for flu season. So, and then she also said, thanks. Homeopathic remedies are good. Yes, we are gonna give you some information.
Few
on
basics here.
homeopathic.
Drink plenty of fluids. Get rest. I think one of the reasons why I rarely get sick, and when I do, I don't get sick very long, is because, contrary to popular opinion, I do know how to skid to a stop and read at least one book cover to cover.
Yeah.
If I get sick and can't read, it's all over.
So rest is huge, and of course, if you feel like crap, you're gonna lay down and you're gonna rest. I think to me, the rest part comes in when you get better. You need to
Convalescence, and
you
I am no good at that.
and moms particularly, this is hard. You want to get back up. You've got a family to take care of you. But if you don't rest, you're going to do round 2. And round 2 is going to be worse than the first one. It's better to take that extra few hours, get that extra, that last nap that maybe you don't really have to have. Don't do round 2.
No, don't do round 2. No.
Yeah, take your break so you're feeling a little better and you don't have to be sick. Read a book. I never get to read anymore.
I actually have books I haven't read, which it was a no-no in all of my life. But,
yeah.
Hey, I'm catching up.
So if you have questions, feel free to comment. We love questions. We're gonna just keep kind of moving through what we've kind of got prepared, but we don't mind questions and sidetracks.
And we don't.
So we kind of talked about gargling and washing. So the vitamin C is an amazing thing, and rose hips is my favorite way to take that.
I just have to, for a minute, give you a list of some of the nutrients in rose hips. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Vitamin A, B1, B2, B3, B6, B12, vitamin K, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, folate, pantothenic acid, choline, and I'm only started. Okay.
Yeah, it has calcium, iron, magnesium, phosphorus. You're not
copper,
just getting
manganese,
the vitamin C. Yeah, selenium.
I mean, if you want
So yeah,
rose hip
vitamin
tincture.
C is great, but
Or
rose hips, whew.
Harvest them in the fall and drink them as tea all winter. That's even better, you know.
Yep.
So
There's other tinctures that are good for the flu, and they're covered in the information on the Grab and Go flu kit, which you can find by just going to butterflyexpress.net, search flu, and then the kit will come up down at the bottom. There's a link that says more information. That's information that we wrote. It's 2 pages, and it breaks down each little item, by what you'd use. What I did to my own personal copy when I was a lot nearer and things weren't quite so solidified in my brain for what I used for what, I took a highlighter and I'd go through that information. I would highlight major words like stomach flu or diarrhea, so that when the kid was sick, I'm not trying to read both those pages.
Highlight
I'm just
them,
going down through,
stomach flu in pink and diarrhea,
as long as I'm doing this color, and if it's that's a good idea too. So that really helped me.
I'm gonna have to do that because I don't think I remember as well as I used to.
I did that with my first aid kit, and I take it up camping too, because camping for 10 days with 6 children, I pulled that thing out several times, but I'm not going to remember which one it was for a spider bite or a snake bite, because I haven't dealt with those things huge ton. I could look it up, but in the heat of the moment when I'm stressed out, I just want it to be highlighted right there for me. So I've done that to my first aid kit too. All right, remedies. This is the fun part.
Let's start with low potency homeopathic remedies, which I don't use an awfully lot because I prefer high potency. But if you're new to the homeopathic world, this is a great place to start. So let's start with
diarrhea number 1.
Oh my,
so here we are. We're going on stomach flu, obviously.
Yes. Some people here in our little area, that's the one and only remedy they had. A particular man who was a bus driver carried that one with him. But it hits a lot more than just the abdominal cramping, mental confusion, feelings of depression, difficulty urinating, particularly in men because of the inflammation.
Or the inability to hold urine, those who wet the bed, or
that violent feeling of constriction in the umbilical region. It's more than just a diarrhea remedy.
just happens to be called diarrhea, and we're talking diarrhea number 1.
So,
So
okay.
flu symptoms number 2. This one is a combination that contains, if you're familiar with shingles, otherwise we may bore you here a little bit, but it's gelsemium, sempervirens, it's ferrum phosphorus, it's
Bryonia.
yeah,
some of the-
eupatorium.
yeah.
So it's got all of those, and so the list of things that it covers is pretty huge. You're talking high fever, bronchitis, pneumonia. This is more of a lung one. That splitting headache when you get sick, and then you get a headache right on top of it. Sharp pain when swallowing. It's pleurisy. If any of you've ever done pleurisy.
Oh, if you've never done pleurisy,
Yeah, don't do pleurisy.
bless your stars in the heavens above. So.
Fever, chills, aching in the bones. This is your flu symptoms number 2. It's cough, especially if that cough is worse at night, which I had one of my children who I think I was going to die of lack of sleep because I couldn't sleep with her coughing. We finally figured out BBL was the answer
So
for that one.
the beauty of a combination like this is you will hit whatever the child or yourself or whoever is doing, they will feel better. And what you've done is bought yourself some time to pull out your homeopathic repertory and decide which one of these 5 ingredients was the closest match. And then you give that one in a higher, deeper potency and kick it for real.
Yeah.
Prevent the redo. So we don't like redos.
Okay, so higher potency homeopathics are, I mean, they're great. They're wonderful if you are familiar with homeopathics and you know what you're doing. We do teach a homeopathic class. It's a couple of days.
I'm going to get it
It's
online
2
one of these
parts.
days, I promise.
We'd love to, but it
takes so long to do that.
probably a good idea to take that if you want to play in higher potency remedies.
Or at least read the book and call with lots of questions or something.
Yep. It doesn't look like we did a section on arsenicum album, but arsenicum album is your number 1 for anything
Far and away.
throwing up.
And arsenicum album is both stomach and lung. So it doesn't, it has a range of symptoms.
I give that one anytime anybody has the flu. It doesn't matter which kind of flu it is.
Well, the thing
everybody
is,
gets it.
It's just as good for food poisoning or overeating. Like I took some the day after the family party.
Okay.
As a matter of
And then
fact.
the last one we're going to talk about is gelsemium. And gelsemium was an ingredient in that flu symptoms number 2, but it is such an amazing remedy all by itself. We're going to give it just a second here.
The reason I put gelsemium separately is because it's the number 1 convalescent remedy.
So follow
It's
up
when you're
over.
all done with it and you're just saying to yourself, oh, I just get tired so easily. Or,
Yep.
Gelsemium is the follow-up remedy that helps you get back on your feet and prevents the second go round. Whenever I have anybody that gets anything that really laid them out flat, I'm going to try to get them to follow up with gelsemium.
Okay, we have a comment that says, we have to harvest rose hips. We love to. My kids think it's great. My kids like to too, and I feel really bad because last year we did a beautiful quart jar of it, poured the alcohol over to tincture it, put it in the pantry, and forgot about it.
Forgot about it forever.
It was like a year. Anyway,
It's still good.
that's what happens when you get pregnant. Well, yeah, if there'd been any alcohol left in it, but I don't think the lid was
it
on
just
tight.
absorbed it all. And then
Well, and I don't think the lid was on tight. It just kind of.
Well,
I
I know where
we
you
get
a bunch more.
I wasn't too worried about it. That was the problem. Okay, so essential oils. This is my favorite part.
All right. Well, then run with it.
Hey, if anybody, if you have friends that you want to share this with, go ahead, share it, or tag them in it when it's over.
Rose hips and mint. Oh, yes, that's a good idea.
Rose hips and mint.
She said rose hips and mint. So
Tea.
make a wonderful
Oh, yeah.
tea. Yes.
Teas are great when you're sick, especially if you're not throwing up, because it's a great way to give the body the extra nutrients that it needs. The tummy mint one, if the tummy's involved but they're not sick. Sleepy time is another one of my favorites. I think these are done by Celestial Seasonings. You can usually get them in the grocery store. Yeah.
Rose
those
hips
two.
and mint both added to almost any tea except BH will make them palatable. They'll make them quite nice.
We're going to start with lung oils, and both of these first two that we're going to talk about, Aspire and Breezy, they're the two number 1 oils for the lung. They're both included in the flu kit. There is a third one that is called Exhale, and it's fairly new. I think Butterfly's had it for about a month and a half now.
Long enough that I've only smelled it once.
I have been using it on my baby, and wow. Breezy is a little bit strong. Some of my kids will get a little bit of a rash if I use it on them, and so I tend to use more of the Aspire, but man, I'm loving this Exhale.
I'm thinking this Exhale from the comments
Is the
that we're getting
children's
back
version.
is going to be the children's
It is
and elderly people's
awesome.
oil.
So yeah, I like Aspire. I like Breezy. We'll kind of talk a little bit about the difference. Aspire tends to work more for people who've done asthma as a child or are currently asthmatic. Aspire is awesome. It is great.
It's a deep lung one.
It's a deep,
to
deep
me,
one.
Breezy is more bronchial and sinus passages than the deep lungs.
You can alternate Breezy and Aspire.
Absolutely.
So Breezy's more like you said, the sinuses and that type of thing. Breezy is one of my best friends because I have a husband who snores.
Oh, and just as a side note, Breezy has some really good oils in it. You can also use it as a muscle rub and relax it.
You can.
My mother-in-law would strain something out there. What have you got? Well, Breezy.
I keep
worked
Breezy
well.
on my nightstand, and if he starts to snore, because the thing, he doesn't snore all the time. He only snores when he's overly stressed out or hasn't had enough sleep. A couple drops of that on his pillow or on a cotton ball.
Or just put
I'm
some
going
on
to
your own risk and drape your hand over his chest. That's
a good
my
idea,
solution to that one.
So Breezy is sinuses, upper respiratory, Aspires the deeper lungs. Okay, we already talked about deliverance quite a bit. We want to kind of cover the K1 acupressure points on the feet. If there's any foot zonists out there, that's another thing we teach, by the way. I don't zone, but she does.
She's going to have to learn.
And you can balance. So the K1s would be like right here on the foot. And you put deliverance on
straight
both feet.
below between the big toe and the second toe, just straight down in that little divot.
You cross your hands and just hold those 2 points and just kind of let the body balance itself. And with the deliverance being carried everywhere into the body, it's absolutely an amazing way to
make it easier for yourself. Just dilute it and rub it all over the feet. Yep. And then what I like to do is put Life Force on the chest and deliverance on the feet.
Yep.
And then later in the day, reverse it and do the other way around, and it'll kick anything.
It's
really
an amazing way to.
Besides, Life Force will help with a lot of those. I'm just too tired to breathe kind of sensations.
Endo relief. Endo relief is your number one lymphatic. It's going to help drain the lymphs and keep them moving. Absolutely amazing oil. Not the best smelling one in the world.
Well, and it gets worse every time I tinker with it because I add nasty smelling things like dill. And,
But it's the number one lymphatic one, and it works. And I like to I put a little bit of carrier in my hand, add 1 or 2 drops of the Endo relief, and I'll start right behind my ears and just come down both sides of my neck and across my chest. Absolutely wonderful. In fact, I do it even when I'm not sick, just because I tend to fight my lymph system. My lymph are not friendly. So
mine didn't used to be when I was younger, but I think enough years of Endo relief is pretty.
I think I just sit around too much. I need to get up and exercise, move.
Anyway, strengthen and rebalance the entire endocrine system and keep those dying bacteria from overwhelming the tissues and cells.
It's definitely one to use in the recovery stage.
Oils in it. Yeah, you should just use Endo relief all the time.
Yep. Endo relief is like one of those. So you're going to take stuff, and then as you start to get better, you're going to quit a few things. Endo relief is not one of the ones you're going to quit. That's one of your recovery stage ones. So inside out.
Moving into the digestive type flu.
And inside out is great. It's the number one stomach one. A little bit in your hand and across your stomach. You can use it for any type of stomach issue. Cramping, belching, bloating, heartburn, diarrhea, constipation. I mean, because it's not, constipation, diarrhea, I know those are complete opposites, but it's a balancer. It balances the digestive system, so it doesn't matter which one you're doing.
It never matters with herbal things. You
Children.
use cayenne to increase circulation, use cayenne to stop bleeding. That's the way the herbal alternative world works.
Some of my children do not love Inside Out. It's too strong, the peppermint, they don't like it, and Julia is the answer for that. Julia is a little bit milder. Well, it's quite a bit milder.
Julia was created for a baby less than 24 hours old.
Yes.
And it turned out to be extremely effective for adults as well.
The third digestive oil is Easy Traveler. And Easy Traveler is motion sickness, car sickness. But if whatever tummy troubles your children are fighting has an emotional stem behind it, you might try Easy Traveler. If the Julia, the inside are not working, it may be more emotional than physical.
That isn't in the blog. So if you're taking a note, that may be where you want it right down, because I didn't get it in there for some crazy reason.
No.
Just a comment here. Water is a great carrier for oil. So bathtubs, but a lot of people don't realize that, because first thing people say to me is, well, I don't take baths, I shower. Well, 1 or 2 drops. I put in the plug for just a minute, get about 1 inch or 2 worth of water in the bottom of your tub and put the oil there, and the large pores in the bottom of your feet will absorb it.
We've had another comment. She says, I joined this late. Can I access this and view it in its entirety on the website?
Yes.
It will be on It'll be on our YouTube channel in a day or two. It will be available on Facebook as soon as this is over, and you can watch it as many times as you like.
And the entire blog that we're speaking from, which is long and wordy because that's who I am, will also be posted. So.
I think it should be being posted as we speak, actually. You should be able to access that very soon. So, and we don't mind questions. I mean, shoot us hey, I watched your live. If you tell us you watched the live at the beginning of your message, that really helps, because then we're not like trying to shoot a book back to you. We'll just answer your question.
Answer your question.
I watched the live and I wasn't clear about this or that, or can I do this or that? That we don't.
Valerie and I will pay it. Well, she'll more than me. Will pay attention to it for the rest of the day and most of tomorrow in case you have questions.
Yep.
So. All right, life force.
Let's
talk about that one for a minute. Okay.
So this one is one that immediately raises your overall frequency of your body. So it immediately improves your outlook and your response to the stress that your body's under for getting the flu. It makes you feel like, I can beat this. That's the worst part about getting the flu. You just feel, I'm going to be sick forever. It helps kind of remove that, so that you're like, I can beat this. I'm going to be back up on my feet tomorrow.
An immune and adrenal gland stimulant.
Yes, it is.
It's the high points of life force right there. It's those things.
That's why we use them interchangeably. You use life force and you can layer it with endo relief. Life force smells a lot better though.
Some people like it. The problem I had years ago when I was blending for butterfly is that I didn't blend for aroma. I blended for effectiveness. Yep. And one guy told me that, I just can't stand my wife smelling like this. I go, let me see. And I handed him a clothespin, suggested that he apply it to his nose. I'm sorry, your aromatherapy and your wife getting over this very serious situation that had caused her a couple of surgeries. It wasn't balancing right in my mind. In your mind.
Okay. So. Life force is a good one for the bathtub. Couple drops in the tub. It's one of my favorite ones for the bathtub. A great use for it is all along the spine. And if you're like me, you can't reach your back. So.
The spine on the foot, from a foot's own perspective, is that all that bumpy right up along the inside of your foot.
From the big toe to the heel, down the side.
Down the inside of your foot. So
it's
easier to reach than your back.
Mariah is an amazing respiratory. If you have and you're afraid it's going to go pneumonia, RSV, Mariah is amazing. I like to rotate it with Revitalize, because Revitalize just kind of is an overall pick-me-up. It's exactly what it says. It's a Revitalize.
Revitalize is a mild liver cleanse, so it's going to deal with that. And too, Mariah,
boost of energy, lymph,
virus and bacteria. Like I said, it's the respiratory flu one. So energy and stamina is adding the Revitalize to it. So.
Now, there's another interesting one called Stephanie that was actually developed to fight Pseudomonas bacteria, and especially in the lungs. So Stephanie, Mariah, one or the two, back and forth. If you're fighting a respiratory thing that you just don't want those to get
I have to comment one more thing on Revitalize. Okay. That word alertness. When I get sick, it's like my brain just disconnects.
Revitalize is your boost of energy and alertness. It's another one I like in the tub. And not even when I'm sick. Sometimes Revitalize is just my tub oil because I've had a long day and I'm just stressed. I just need a little pick me up.
After my husband's serious burns, I would look across the room at him 2-3 years later, and he would just look tired, gray and tired. And I would sit him down and do that cross hand thing with Revitalize on his feet. And within 5-10 minutes, he would be back up and going and working. And Revitalize has become our go-to. And it's been 12 years. It's still our go-to oil for him when he's tired.
Yeah. So if you don't use the Butterfly Express oils and you're looking for a cross-reference for what you might already have, so you don't have to go buy all these things that's similar, on butterflyexpress.shop, there is a cross-reference for all of the major competitors. So if you already have some doTERRA
it's not
oils,
as complete as it could be. You may have to do some homework, looking up the ingredients, looking up the descriptions. But
yeah, if you're already using doTERRA, you've got a stash of Young Living, or I think Plant Therapy. It covers some of the major competitors out there. Another thing is, singles are great. Ones are way better, but if you have a stash of singles, stomach, you're looking peppermint. Lung, you're looking Ravensara, peppermint.
We are Butterfly because I founded that company, and that's what the kids grew up with. But if you have oil, an employee I had for many, many years would always say, if you have an oil, use it. Do something.
That's right.
Whatever it is, respond, do something. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
So fever, Thermacare is our number one essential oil for fever. It is an amazing way of reducing a very high fever. and it is so. And some of the things that it contains, like it contains peppermint. It's got yarrow.
Coriander is
it
a
is
key to
just
that one.
Amazing. So I like that one
Wish
for that
we'd have had that
convalescent.
when all you kids were little. And
That was
used to
amazing.
spike those
I
high
use it with
fevers.
my little kids though, and Thermacare is awesome. I'm not sure what you're doing.
I'm trying to scroll.
Oh. So you're making me nervous. Thermacare is one I like to put in a carrier oil and just put right down their spine. Maybe when I've just got them out of their ginger bathtub, and also on the bottoms of the
Do
feet.
be careful when you first
Carrier
get them out
oil.
of the ginger bathtub. The reason it works is because it's opened the pores.
Yes,
So a drop in a lot of carrier oil, otherwise it's going to
just one.
sting just a little. Okay.
Okay, couple of singles real quick too is Melissa. Melissa
There's
is
nothing like Melissa.
awesome. Now, if you know very much about oils, you'll be like, Melissa, ouch. Melissa is a very expensive oil. It is.
Although Butterfly has found some good ones.
That's
and
true.
are selling it not much. higher
Butterfly
than
has a
cost.
blend that they have built to mimic Melissa that's very, very affordable. They also have what's called a rectified Melissa, which is also very affordable. And they have the absolute, which it's very expensive, but I will use the rectified unless what I'm up against is extremely nasty, and then I will.
A little anecdotal story here. Valerie limped home. Would you have 1 tit or 2 when you showed up with that thing in your lymph or your neck that was
That was not
so bad? We tried everything, and finally, Melissa was just outrageously expensive in those days. And a friend sent me a little tiny vial
2
with
mils.
8 drops in it. And we literally used it 1 drop at a time and finally kicked the thing. I mean, Melissa, a good one. University of Munich reports complete remission of herpes simplex lesions. It will hit the
cold
hard
sores.
stuff. And, a drop of that on a cold sore, straight.
I like the one they've got. What is it? Simplicity.
Yeah.
For better than straight Melissa. Simplicity has Melissa in it, but it's also got some lavender and some other things. It's not quite so strong, and I will use that. I get one right here. I haven't had one for a long time, but
Melissa, it's a whole blend in itself.
It is. And if this is going to be completely off topic, but if you do chronic cold sores over and over and over again, there's a tincture called HP, and taking that for a couple of months will.
And surprisingly enough, that's what tested up for me with the shingles.
Really?
I took so much HP and the nerve tonic, and it just, I went through it very quickly.
Chronic cold sores are no fun. Don't do that. I used to do them every month with my period, and I think I got a little teeny tiny one here a couple months ago. It never even got to where my husband could see it, but I could feel it. And I whacked on that bugger, especially now that I'm on TV every 2 weeks. I prefer not to have a giant cold sore on my lip. So I kicked that thing so hard.
Melissa, thyme, I know, is the one the whole world out there loves. I don't like the smell of thyme.
I'm not a fan of thyme either, but it's a great one for lymph drainage.
It's a great oil. And it's a
lingering
great oil.
coughs. It's a good, So, all right. So we've covered homeopathics. If you're just joining us, and we've covered essential oils, but you'll be able to watch this again later. So we have herbal tinctures left. And if you're not familiar with an herbal tincture, it is an herb put in some kind of a preservative. Butterfly does them 2 different ways. They do them in alcohol. They also do them in glycerin. If you're doing little children and it's available as a glycerin, we highly recommend them
in the
that way.
past, we actually did some tinctures I did for my own children in apple cider vinegar.
Yep, you can
And
tincture
it's
that way.
very effective. There are some herbs, the kidney herbs really don't do well in apple cider vinegar.
Yep.
Valerie hates vinegar, so there's no talking about
They
that
do
one.
well in glycerin. There is a video on our YouTube channel, which is Butterfly Expressions Essential Oils, that tells you how to tincture in alcohol, how to tincture in glycerin. I think there's a separate video on straining them. It also, how to make salves. You can buy dry herb packs from Butterfly. It's a lot cheaper, and you can make your own tinctures. If you need them today, that's not going to work so well, but they're great for, I want to have this in my storage. I want to have this in my stock. It's way, way, way cheaper, and those videos are awesome. So, all right, first tincture.
We already talked about BBL. So
we did. We talked about fever quite a while.
Cayenne
hawthorn. We talked about cayenne a little bit in that HVC recipe, but the cayenne hawthorn together is
why hawthorn?
Why
we
hawthorn?
think of hawthorn as a heart heart thing. But what it does is prevent damage to individual cells. It improves the integrity of the cell membrane. So when you have a pandemic kind of flu, that's what that does. That virus goes through the cell membrane, attacks the cell, then the immune system attacks the dead cell. So the hawthorn strengthens that cell wall. It makes the viral attack slower, gives you more time to respond, gives you healthier cells.
And your cayenne is gonna induce a sweat, so to help you sweat it off. And
So, another one, men, is listed here in the thing, and I believe the reason herbs work is because they fill in nutritional holes. The body heals, not the herb. The herb helps because it gives the body what it needs in order to do so. So anytime you put nutrition, we mentioned rose hips, a list of things. You could do that with nearly every herb, the list of things that are in it. And in the Green Herbal book that I spent some time in my life writing, I actually added a part that gives some of the different vitamins and what herbs contain them. And
I think it's in that recipe section that's just on the website.
It took some research.
I think it is listed in there too. So I don't know why, but my comments are not scrolling down and I keep forgetting. So we got to go back to comments for a minute.
Okay, let's do it.
Is the flu kit on the website? I didn't see it. Or do you buy these oils individually? If you already have some of them, you're probably going to save some money buying them individually. The flu kit is on the website. You just search for flu. It's the grab and go flu kit. And it is 10% off right now. There's also a coupon, flu, that will get you 10% off of anything that's not already on sale or bulk. So if you are going to just pick up some things that you don't already have and finish building out your kit, just use that coupon flu today or tomorrow, and that'll let us know you watched the live, and that's awesome. One other thing I noticed in the flu kit today does not include ginger tincture. And to me, that's
should be there. Yes, how
should
we
have been
missed
in
that,
there.
I don't
Why
know.
it's not, I don't know. But if I were buying the flu kit, that's the one and only thing I might add to it. Okay.
Somebody asked a question, negative energy oil to make you feel better. Oh, that's kind of a make you feel clear. IQ is my favorite.
Yeah. Crystal clear is the other
Crystal
one.
clear focus is another one. But if the clarity is emotional, just flip to the emotional section of that blue or on the web, and get the one that suits you. The one that suits
read about
me
both
is
of them.
the most expensive one.
You can find them by going to butterflyexpressions.org, click on information, and then from information it's broken into 3 sections. You got essential oils, then you got the herbs, and then you got blessed waters and homeopathics. And so it's going to be under the essential oils. It's going to be blends to read about IQ and crystal clear and see which one emotionally fits you better.
I don't want us to miss talking about olive leaf because it is one of the most potent antiviral things out there.
Yep.
And it relaxes arterial walls, which is going to keep the headache from making you absolutely crazy during the flu.
It can, especially if that is a result of fever or dehydration.
So olive leaf is
it's
not one I use often, but it's one that it's very, very effective when you do.
Okay. All right.
The blog spot talks a lot about past flu pandemics. What's the likelihood of us having one? I just don't want to get into that scaremongering.
It's good information if you want to be prepared in case we ever do one again. The pandemic flu of 1918 was absolutely horrific, and if we ever see anything like that again, the more people out there that know how to deal with it, the better.
Scientists, they believe that we're sitting ducks for one just because of our lifestyle, the amount of traveling we do, the small spaces in airplanes and buses. There's a lot of things that contributed to that pandemic flu.
Yep.
It took out the young people. You were more likely to die of it if you were between 19 and 24. And the reasons for that, we need to understand what they are so that we know how to respond. And as I've said, and I'm going to say it again as a closing remark, the key to alternative medicine is to respond quickly and completely to everything, including a sniffle.
Yep. The blog also covers, kind of our views on to vaccinate or not to vaccinate. And so if you want...
And you're welcome to your own opinion. I didn't even ask my married kids as they had children whether they were vaccinating or not. It's not my business.
But her opinion's on there. And her research, what she has done and why she feels that way, if you care.
So, but no, I'm done arguing about vaccinations. Okay, it's your choice. Do your homework and make your own decision. So.
Happy essential oiling, and thanks for joining us today. Please share this with anybody that you can think of, and join us again in a week as we talk about the emotional this month, which is
Enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm.
And Valerie says she's writing.
I'm
that one,
excited
so
about
I'm
it,
all
actually.
happy.
I'm really enjoying writing that one. And then we'll also cover headaches at the end of the month. So happy oiling, and we will catch you in a week.